Hey everybody, Coach Toolshed here, and today I'm going to be discussing a study that was done recently about gamers and gamer behavior, specifically in regards to spending habits. And it's some information that was done in the study that is not necessarily surprising, but it's some information that I find is interesting and relevant to where we're at right now and the future of gaming in general, where we're headed. Now, the interesting thing about this study is it took two different groups of gamers. It took what it labeled as North American adult gamers, and then it took a group of students from the University of British Columbia, and it polled these two groups regarding specific questions about loot boxes and how they spend their money regarding loot boxes. It was a study designed to look at the problematic effects of gambling, but that's not what I'm going to get into today, and I'm not going to discuss whether or not loot boxes are gambling. That is not the purpose of today's video at all. We've had plenty of videos about that topic already, but what I want to discuss here today is something that I've long suspected and something that I've talked to several of you down in the comments below over the past year. And it's a situation where what we find in this study is that the younger demographic, the students taken in the poll, were more likely to have open loot boxes and to have spent money on loot boxes, and also to turn around and have sold items out of the loot boxes for real world cash. This is a situation where we see 60% of the student respondents saying that they have spent real world cash on loot boxes, where the so-called adult gamer group had only been at 49%, where they had spent actual money on this. And when it came to reselling stuff that they found in loot boxes, it said 39% of the student group had sold loot box items for real world cash, which is quite a substantial amount of players when you really think about it, if this polling data is to be believed. Now, of course, you have to take the sample size of the study into account. There was only 250 or so different people surveyed, so that is actually a very small sample group, so these numbers might not be totally accurate, so take them with a grain of salt. But what we saw across the board, like I said, is the younger demographic is more likely to have bought loot boxes, to have opened loot boxes, and to have sold loot box items for real world cash. Now, why is that? Why is that the case? Is that because they're more naive? No, I don't think so. In this same study, the group of students also polled to be more likely to identify loot box opening as being gambling. So it also seems like the student group is more aware of what they're doing, but also more likely to spend. Now, why is that exactly? Why is that? Well, it's because over the last decade plus, we have been subjected to more and more monetization schemes. We have been subjected to more and more loot boxes and dirty monetization tactics being crammed into every single type of game. Now we're seeing it in single player games when it comes to XP boosters, resource boosters, all of this nonsense. I've done videos about this before. And the real issue that we see here is now over time, the younger demographic has only been exposed to games that have had monetization, whereas people who are a little bit older might remember a time where that was not the case, where you could earn everything in game, where you could play a game that you really enjoyed and earn extra skins and earn as extra cosmetic items, and not have to worry about being nickeled and dimed, and not have to worry about timers going off and limited edition skins that you buy today or it's going to be gone, or spend a bunch of money on these loot boxes so you might have a 1 in 1,000 chance of getting this special epic drop that everyone's trying to get. We discussed that with Apex Legends and stuff like that, where if you want to get some of the high tier gear, you're going to just have to spend an absolute mountain of cash to get one of these items, and people go out of their way to defend it. And the reason why is because of years and years of conditioning to think that this sort of monetization is totally fine. I remember back in Oblivion when Bethesda launched the horse armor microtransaction, and people laughed and scoffed at that and said, who in the world is going to be stupid enough to shell out $5 for a cosmetic skin for your horse that doesn't even have any in-game advantage? Who on earth is going to do that? And now here we are in 2019, and not only are cosmetic microtransactions the name of the game, you have people going out of their way to defend them. You have angry CEOs getting on stage pretending that they're not microtransactions at all. And across the board, they have become ubiquitous in the industry from all but a handful of games from a handful of publishers. And make no mistake, this has been their plan all along. They will slowly whittle away at the resistance that people have towards loot boxes. They will slowly change the language, which we're currently seeing now with Randy Pitchford trying to change what the word microtransaction means. They will continue to change the buzzwords and the terms that they use for recurrent spending. That term will become something else within a couple of years. Anything to cushion the blow, anything to move the conversation away from these terms that they know that the public doesn't like. And as this continues to happen, you will have more and more people who will just think it's normal. And I think we're already there. Like I said, over 60% of the younger respondents say they have paid real world money for loot boxes. Now, that doesn't mean that every single game that comes out there spending money on loot boxes, but I think that is a pretty telling statistic, don't you? So I'm going to cut the video short here. I'm not going to go on all day about loot boxes because I'm sure you don't want to hear me talk all day about loot boxes any more than you want to watch me play Overwatch for another second, because I know people hate when I play Overwatch. But anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Please subscribe if you want to stay in tune with the channel headed forward. And as always, keep it turned to 11.